Want to kick off the show today talking about headlines coming out of New Orleans, Louisiana, not related to the Zurich Classic, which we'll get to later, but reports that LIV Golf New Orleans is set to be postponed or has already been postponed, but it hasn't been made public quite yet. Not sure about that. We'll find out a little bit more. Apparently, there's supposed to be an announcement today about the future of the tournament that hasn't been made yet at the time that we're doing this. But WDSU, the TV station down in New Orleans, which, by the way, has a horrible website, like pop-up city, as soon as you go to check anything out. But they were the first to break the news that the tournament is set to be postponed. Now, it's supposed to be played June 25th through 28th at City Park, which the state government and New Orleans put money into in terms of renovation to have this tournament specifically. The state was supposed to pay $7 million to LIV Golf in hosting the event. They paid about a little over $1 million so far. Apparently, LIV's paying that money back. But there are kind of conflicting reasons given in multiple different reports about why this is happening and who initiated it. It sounds like the kind of authoritative version of this is that LIV initiated the postponement of this event and contacted the state and city of New Orleans and indicated that they would want to move the date of the tournament, if not postpone it together toward the fall after the season. They talked about a notion apparently of an exhibition version of this tournament. I don't know what that means. LIV has never had a silly season. They may not have a silly season, because then the kind of next version of this, or the kind of next talking point out of this, is from WDSU that, okay, LIV's going to postpone the event in the interest of trying to get their finances straight, get more secure financing, and restructure their business so that they can continue on. Well, that's only a few events from now, right? That's not many. The next LIV Golf event is supposed to be next week at Trump National in Northern Virginia at LIV Golf Virginia. That's supposed to be the next tournament. And Joel Beal with Golf Digest went and called the club and said, "Hey, are you still having this thing?" And they said yes. So at least insofar as everyone there knows, they're going to have the event next weekend down at Trump National in D.C. Well, it's called Trump National D.C. It's over the Potomac. And I guess then the next question is, why postpone it, right? If the idea is to get better financing or have more secure financing, have a better restructured business, and that's something that you need to have happen by 2 months from now, that indicates that you don't have as secure financing as you need to get through the entirety of this season. Scott O'Neill said in an email to employees ahead of LIV Golf Mexico City, it's full throttle, full steam ahead, full throttle for the remainder of the season. We've got money. He said in the interview with TNT Sports, you've got funding through the end of the year, then you've got to go figure out how to do it. That was deleted off of TNT Sports' interview and reposted without it. But he said it, right? That's out there. So the indication from him to not only the public, but also his employees is, hey, we've got enough money to get through this season, and then we've got to figure it out. So if the reporting to this story is accurate in full, then that's not the case, right? Or it's a easy excuse, one or the other, and you don't know either way. If it's an easy excuse, it's an easy excuse to go to New Orleans and go, we just don't want to be here at the end of June. Our players hate the idea of playing in Louisiana heat at the end of June, so we're just not going to do it. That is totally plausible. That is plausible. The more juicy explanation is we don't have the money to do this, and we're not going to be in operation by then. So if we don't have money, we can't do this. Why even bother, right? And that would, I guess, be sort of the honest way to do it, right? I think that would be, the ethical thing to call a potential partner who's going to pay you $7 million in total to host an event in your city and say, we can't do it. Okay, that's fine. That's one way to look at it as well. But what seems odd to me about all this is the idea that then LIV could have an exhibition event in New Orleans in the fall after the season. They've never entertained that once. One of the draws of LIV to their players was, we have 14 events. When we're done, we're done. We go from basically beginning of February to the end of August. That's it. We don't have a fall. We don't have, January. We don't have that, right? So then to say to your players, and presumably you're not going to have all of them, right? You wouldn't have a full tournament if it's an exhibition. Have this tournament in New Orleans as like a 4-person thing, or maybe they're doing the the duels thing that they've been doing on YouTube, where they have like an influencer and a player and they compete together in different teams. Maybe it'd be that. I don't know. I have no idea. I think that the bigger sticking point here is that the detail about trying to get financing and trying to have their financial house in order before they have this event. And that's 2 months from now. So if that's the case and that's the pressing issue, then all of a sudden you don't have clarity. You don't have full funding for the full year, at least enough to be able to take care of moving everything forward 2 months from now. So for all of the kind of LIV Golf bot folks on, Twitter and X and different facets online that were up in arms about the reporting, from starting with Ryan French down through James Corrigan, through Brett Baer of Fox News, all these people that kind of did the dog walk of, hey, LIV's in some financial trouble here with different details at different stages. This seems like another dot plot that says, hey, there's some financial trouble here. There's something to be worried about. What that exactly is to be determined, right? And the kind of supplemental excuse that, hey, it's really hot in New Orleans in June and we've got the World Cup to compete against us. I don't think that really helps buoy the argument. Like, those things were known when you announced this tournament, right? When the city and state committed financial resources to hosting this event, they knew what the calendar was, and so did you. The idea of having any golf tournament in the South in June, July, or August sounds like a horrible idea. And that includes the Tour Championship, by the way, in Atlanta. And also the FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis. Those are horrible ideas. It's like 95 degrees every day. Why would you want to be there? And it was obvious LIV knew that, New Orleans gets hot in June, right? That's not surprising. That's why they have the Zurich Classic at the end of April, just before it gets unfathomably hot in the Bayou, right? So I think the takeaway here seems pretty clear, that there is some kind of issue. And whether LIV volunteered that because they didn't think they could execute the tournament, or they didn't have the finances or whatever, but they apparently kind of took the initiative here and said, look, we can't do this thing. Now, what that means for the next slate of tournaments before that, who knows? You're going to have LIV Golf Virginia next weekend, presumably. There's been nothing talked about there. So I'm in this area. I'm in the DMV, the District, Maryland and Virginia area. So I'm probably going to go to LIV Golf Virginia one day. I've never been to a LIV Golf event since 2022 when they started doing this series. I've had it here a couple different times. I had it here last year at Robert Trent Jones Golf Club in Northern Virginia, which is a little bit of a haul, but I've always had personal commitments. So I'm going to go to this thing. I'm going to see what it is and see what we've got. And I guess we'll find out sooner than later. But if there is an announcement on Tuesday, later today, we'll talk about it on the Thursday show and what that might portend for the future of LIV Golf. So there's that.